Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. If you're new to the channel, or if you've never seen any of my videos before, let me give you a little backstory. I have a bit of a problem with vices. I have quite a few of them. I have this one here, I have that one there, I have, let's see here, I don't know if you guys are going to see these. I've got a large Athel here. I've got a Prentice Monarch right here. I've got a Prentice or a Parker Trojan here, and on my little bench over here, I've got another little Athel Vise that I just did a video on, and that does not include. I've got two more bench vices down in the basement workshop, and I also have a woodworking vise. So I have a lot of vices. You know, some of them I intend to keep, and some I intend to fix up and try to sell. Maybe make a little money, and use that money to get more vices, and then fix those up. Well, anyway. It's been a while now, probably a month and a half or so, where I haven't had a vise on this bench. It's a steel work table. I had a vise here, and you know, I drilled some holes here for it, and it was a little vise, and it was okay. Oh, I forgot. I still own that vise. It's actually over at my dad's house. He's using it right now. That's on long-term loan. So the problem is I have all these vices, and I want to put one on my bench, but I don't want to drill a different set of holes every time I want to mount a different vise to this table or any other workbench that I have, because vices kind of come and go around here, and I don't want to turn this steel work table into Swiss cheese. It's already got, it's got some big holes over here from a previous owner that had a bench vise over there. I'm right-handed, so I like to have a vise on the left, so I have all my tools and stuff. I've got space on the right side of me for my tools. So I've been trying to come up with a way to drill one set of holes for all my vices. And I think I figured it out, or I've got an idea that I think will work. There's probably a better way, but this is how I'm going to do it. And then if it works for you, if you want to try it, give it a shot. And if it works out, let me know. Leave a comment down below that says, yeah, this really worked, or I tried it and it sucked. Here's a better way, because I would genuinely be interested in learning about a better way of doing this. So here's my plan. Basically, I'm going to mount the vise to a piece of wood, and then mount the piece of wood to the table. I can cut, this happens to be a piece of 2x10, and it's 13 inches long, and it's like 9 and a bit wide, 1.5 inches thick. And the plan is to make one of these for each of my vices that I intend to keep, or at least keep for a while. And then if I want to put it on the bench, I'll drill holes for the hardware. I've marked in from each corner, 1 3/4 inches from both sides on all 4 corners. And so I'll drill hardware holes in this, and I'll drill corresponding holes in the bench, and then no matter how the vise is attached to the board, because they all have different hole patterns for the mounting system, these 4 holes on a piece of wood will be the same no matter what. And so I can just undo the hardware and then pick up the vise. The wood will come with it, and then it can go on a shelf or wherever. And then when I change my mind about which vise I want to use on the bench for a while, all I got to do is swap it out with a different vise with the same hole pattern drilled in the wood. So today I'm going to show you my first attempt at this. So this is the vise that I want to mount. It is a Fulton Machine Vise Company. It's got pipe jaws. It doesn't have a model number on it, so I can't tell you what model it is. But it's a pretty beefy vise, and I like it. But it has kind of a weird mounting system. It has one singular hole drilled in the bottom, drilled and threaded in the bottom of this, and then you take a large, it's like a 3/4 inch 10 bolt. You screw that up through your work surface into the bottom of the vise. So let me flip this over and try to zoom you guys in. So this is what I'm talking about. So here's the bottom of the vise. It doesn't have like holes drilled on the sides of the base. It's just got this one threaded hole here. And this is 1.5 inches, and it's like a boss. It sticks out about 3/16 below the surface of the base. And it's got a lip here that would sit up against the front edge of your bench. So I really don't want to drill 1.5 inch hole in the bench to accommodate this boss, let alone, you know, all the other holes that all the other vices have. A lot of them have 3 or 4 mounting holes, and they're all spaced differently. So what I did is I took this board and I labeled it. So it says Fulton Machine and Vise Company. I put some grease on the bottom of this boss, and then I set the vise on top of the board, and you can see it left a grease ring here, and that is roughly where I need to drill to leave a little space void for this this boss to sit down in, and then I'll drill straight through for the singular bolt, and then I can bolt through the wood into the bottom of the vise, and then this will be attached to the vise, and I'll drill holes in each corner of this board, and that was how I'll mount it here. So what I'm going to do is I'll bring you guys downstairs, and we'll drill this out with all the holes it's going to need to get this going. Okay, so here's where we are. I've got a spade bit. It's 1.5 inch spade bit in the drill press, and I've got it set to about 1500 ripms, which is the appropriate feeds and speeds. Speed for a drill bit that size in softwood, according to a drill press speed chart that I have. So all I'm going to do is I got to drill a recess in this just deep enough to make room for that boss in the bottom of the vise base. So I'm only going to go in like maybe 1/4 inch. Let's clamp this down. And perfect. So what just happened was this drill bit has a threaded tip on it, and it totally just sucked the board up into the blade part. So, I wonder if I need to turn that. Alright, so I just turned it way down. Now this is more like a little less scary. Not any better. Because those teeth, they just fucking grab. Alright, let's do this. Since I have to drill through this all straight through anyways to accommodate the bolt that's going through here. Let's drill out the center with the smaller bit first. That way this threaded tip on this spade bit doesn't have anything to grab into. Hopefully it won't do that anymore. Alright, so I swapped out this, spade bit thing. This one, like I said, the tip is threaded, so it's screwing itself into the board faster than the bit can clear the wood, so it's sucking it and it's all messed up. So this is a 3/4 inch spade bit with a regular tip. It's not threaded. So let's try this to clear out that center, so that when we go back to this, there's no wood in the middle for the threaded thing to catch on. I'm going to clamp this as well. And I'm going to put another piece of wood underneath here because I don't want to hit my table there. Alright, so now let's switch back. I have tried to line the 1.5 inch bit up with the 1.5 inch hole I started to make, and again, there's no wood in the middle, so this hopefully should work a lot better. Alright. Now I didn't go super far or super deep because again, I want this to be shallow because I want as much meat on here as I can get, because I have to relieve the bottom on this side. I need to make room under here for the head of the bolt to go, and a washer. Let's see what I have for hardware. Hold on. Alright, so I've got the 3/4 10 bolt that is going to basically mount the vise to the board, and I'm just checking the thickness of the head of the bolt and the washer that I plan to use, and it looks like it's 600 thousandths or just over. So I need to make a hole in the bottom, and I've drawn around this with pencil, that is about 600 thousandths deep. Now I don't have a 2-inch diameter drill bit, but I do have a 2-inch hole saw. So let me get this set up and I'll bring you guys back. Okay, I've got the 2-inch hole saw in there, and what I should do is grab a Sharpie. So what I want to do is mark roughly on my bit here what my depth should be. So I just put a little Sharpie line here, and so that is about how deep I'm going to go. I gotta tell you, I'm not really impressed. This is a Starrett branded hole saw, but I am not impressed with the chip evacuation. It's already clogged. And clogged. And so it just starts, it gets hot and it starts to smoke. So I may be at the end of my quill travel, so I'm going to crank. Oh, for crying out loud. It's always something. All right, that should be deep enough, I'm hoping. And the plan now is to grab a chisel and just try to break out this bit here down to the depth that I went with the hole saw. So I'm not going to show you that. I'm just going to be chiseling this out, and then I'll bring it back when that's done. Okay, it's done. I just took a little hand chisel and a hammer, and I cleaned out down in the hole I just drilled out with the hole saw so that the washer fits and the bolt fits, and when I set it down, it's flat, it doesn't rock, and it's pretty much perfect. And so now this will mount nicely, or the vise will mount to this just right. But what I want to do now is drill out these four holes, and that's how I'll mount the board with the vise on it to the bench. And I've got a bunch of 5/16 hardware, so I'm going to do a 5/16 hole. So I'll drill those out now. Alright, now I have 4 holes, one in each corner, and I think I'm going to countersink these also so that the head of the bolt sits flush with the surface here. I think that'll look better, so I'm going to do that. I won't bother to show you that. Okay, sit rep. Here's where we are. I have the vise mounted to the board, and I've got the board clamped to the bench with a big C-clamp, and it's just keeping it so it doesn't move on me while I figure out where things are going to go. I'll also note, there's a couple of shims. I've got some composite shims underneath the vise, so the bottom of the vise is not perfectly flat. It's kind of with the single mounting point in the middle, it kind of weeble wobbles a little bit. So the shims just help eliminate some of that weeble wobble. So once I get everything figured out, I'll shim these, or I'll shim this, I'll cut the shims off so it looks good. So basically what I'm trying to do now is figure out where on the bench I want it. I'd like it as far over as I can get it, but the legs of the table are such that this is about as far over as I want it to go, because I don't want to have to deal with drilling through those. So what I've got is those 4 holes in the corner are good. I got to drill those out still in the bench. So what I'm going to do is I've got a center punch, and I'm going to use the holes I drilled in the wood to guide the center punch. So let me grab a hammer. So I've already got this positioned pretty much exactly where I want it. Also, I should note that I checked that the jaws, or the stationary jaw, is far enough away from the edge of the bench that there's a lot of traffic today. So I've got the vise far enough overhanging the edge of the bench that the stationary jaw is forward of that edge of the bench, so I can clamp things that are long such that they'll hang, I don't hit the bench. That's what I'm trying to say. So before you mount your vices, make sure your vise is forward enough you can mount long things. All right, so let's mark these holes. Of course, I got a shim in the way over here. All right, So now that I've done that, I'll have 4 little dimples, and that's what's going to guide me for drilling my holes. So let me move this stuff and get the drill ready, and I'll bring it back. Alright, so I've moved my vise over, got the drill bit in the drill, and I decided to go with 1/8 of an inch oversize for the hole. So I'm using 5/16 hardware, but I'm going to drill 3/8 holes. That will give me a little bit This is my traffic dance, waiting for traffic. Okay, so that'll give me a little bit of wiggle room. So if I need to realign something, I can, or if I ever want to go to a larger, a larger piece of hardware, the hole's already there for it. So let's see here. Put this in drill, find our dimple there. Here we go. All right, one down, free to go. Bring it back when I'm done. All right, I got it mounted. I drilled the holes, put the hardware down through, and what I did was I drilled a 1/2 inch hole in the top of this board here that would receive the hex head of, let's see if I can show you one, here and here. They just sunk down, and actually the wood keeps them from rotating. And I've just got a couple of washers and a nut on the other underside. 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 corners. And now we'll give her a test shake. Shakes the bench, not the vise. So I'm gonna call that a win. Is it as beautiful as having the vise mounted directly to the bench? No. Let's talk pros and cons. Pros. I can put any vise I want on this bench and not have to drill any more holes in it. Con. It may not be as rigid or as secure of a mounting method as bolting it directly to the bench, but it's reasonably secure. I can take this vise off and replace it with a different vise with the same base that maybe has a different feature that I want, and I can do that very quickly. All I have to do is remove 4 bolts, and I can throw the other vise on here. Like, let's say I want to put a swivel vise on here. I have a couple swivel base vices on here that I like, but they're not on here now. And let's say I want to do something where I need the jaws to close this way. Pull this one off, throw the swivel base vise on, and it'll still swivel even on this simple board. So I think this is probably the easiest, simplest, universal bench vise mount that I can come up with. It's certainly very cheap. All it cost me was the hardware that I needed to mount the board to the bench, and I mean, if you have a vise, you need hardware anyway, so it's not an additional cost. I don't know. I could, if I wanted to make this fancy, I could paint this so it doesn't stand out so much. I could stain it. I could take a router and make the corners or the edge nice, but I probably never will, just simply because this is more function over form. So, I don't know, stick around, and you'll likely see a different vise mounted on the bench at some point. Like I said, I've got several. This is the beefiest vise I have, and it's satisfyingly large. Yeah. It's a good size. It's got 4-inch jaws. It opens about 6 or 7 inches. I don't remember. And it does have pipe jaws in here, so if I need to clamp something round, I can do that. So this is a great vise. And again, this is a Fulton Machine and Vise Company manufactured item. I did do a restoration video on this, so if you are interested, check that out. This is pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope that this is pretty straightforward. I mean, I think it's really straightforward. I think you guys understand how this works. I probably went into way more detail than necessary for this, but you know, if this helped you out, leave a comment and tell me that, oh yeah, you know, I've been trying to come up with a way to do this. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear about it. If you think this is stupid and I should just bolt it right to the bench, tell me that. I mean, well, I'll disagree with you, but that's okay. So with that, thanks for watching. I hope this was educational, entertaining in some way, helpful. Like, comment, subscribe. If you like bench vices, subscribe. Check out my other content that I already have posted. You know, there's some good vice restoration or vice rescue videos there. On a side note, this vice here, I'm gonna do a part 2 on a restoration for this one. This one was quite a bit of work, but it's like my grinding vice. It's on this little rolling toolbox. I roll it out in the driveway and I use it to hold on to stuff when I'm wire wheeling other things that I'm cleaning up. I didn't do anything to prevent rust on this. I mean, I soaked it with WD-40. That was about it. So what I want to do is I want to clean it up again. I think I'm going to paint it. So there's going to be a Parker style mystery vice part 2. So if you haven't seen the first one, go watch that if you want to, and subscribe because I'm going to do more to this. So with that, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on this old Tool 53. Insert fancy outro here.